Hello, I'm Lara Kılçarslan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. It's been called the deadliest disaster in North Macedonia in decades. A nightclub fire is thought to have started when a live band let off fireworks. The blaze tore through the Pulse nightclub in Koçani, killing at least 59 people and leaving over 155 injured. Most of the victims were teenagers and young adults. The blaze broke out around 2:30 a.m. local time on Sunday during a performance by one of the country's most popular rap duos, DNK. Authorities say the venue was dangerously overcrowded and didn't have a legal license. Initial reports suggest up to 1,500 people were crammed into the club, far beyond its capacity. Survivors say the club had only one exit, and a lack of fire extinguishers made matters even worse.
You see, they had people performing on stage and they had flares, like 2 flares, and the flares go off and the ceiling catches fire, bro. And instead of people running, instead of using extinguishers, people are trying to flame out the flames from the ceiling. Yeah? And eventually people realize this is mad. And there's a stampede. 500 people run for the door. You see this girl in the picture? They stomp all over her back. You see her face. All these 500 people trying to run through one exit. They don't take fire security serious at all. Her sister, 25 years old, didn't make it. She's dead, bro. They're looking at these people saying it was an illegal nightclub. Your fire safety standards were rubbish. You've been paying bare money to all these people to allow you to open when you shouldn't have been open.
It is being said that club goers use pyrotechnics that are not, for enclosed spaces, and unfortunately that caused the roof to catch fire. Sadly, this isn't the first case on this world where people were using pyrotechnics that they were not educated on at nightclubs. These things are extremely dangerous. They're not made for enclosed spaces. It is not being assumed that the people who use these pyrotechnics did so because of malicious intent, but we don't have somebody who wanted to hurt people, who wanted to set the entire building on fire. In the most simplest terms that I can put it, we have people who were just being stupid. Cases like this are so important to talk about because people who don't really think about the consequences of their actions exist everywhere. And maybe if more people are aware of these cases, we can stop incidents like this from happening.
15 people have been detained for questioning as investigations continue. Many of the injured suffered severe burns and carbon monoxide poisoning. 3 of the critically injured have been transferred to Istanbul for treatment. Others are also being transferred to hospitals across Europe. North Macedonia has declared 7 days of mourning. On Saturday, March 15, something big happened in Serbia. A massive protest, part of the ongoing 15 for 15 movement, took over the capital. Public transport across Belgrade came to a halt as protesters from all directions made their way into the city. And this all started back in November after a railway station canopy collapsed, killing 15 people. That tragic event sparked these protests you're seeing, mainly led by university students. The demonstrations have been happening almost every day. The protesters want those responsible to be held accountable.
The government put the number at 107,000. Independent monitors said that more than 325,000 turned up, while unofficial numbers estimated as many as 800,000. And all of this is a student-led movement. It was called the 15th for 15 protest, referring to the 15 people that were recently killed after a concrete and glass canopy collapsed on them at a rail station. Protests in the country have been ongoing since then because they say that no one has been held accountable for the tragedy, and many blame government corruption, demanding that they publish all of the documentation related to the station's renovation and for the president, Vučić, to resign. Now, to make things worse, videos started circulating online this weekend that claim that during the 15 minutes of silence for the 15 who were killed, police allegedly used LRADs, or sound cannons. These are devices that have been used at protests before, even in the United States, and they can emit a focused beam of sound so loud that it's enough to make people vomit or even cause hearing damage. Now, keep in mind, these reports are still yet unconfirmed, but videos show these large crowds split in two almost in a perfect line. In a subreddit of people participating participating in the protest. One said through people that they have spoken to, it seems that everyone in the line of the wave felt very strange. They said their brains stopped working and they just started running involuntarily. Many people also felt very exhausted. Now, although started by students, this movement has also gained people from every background, including taxi drivers, farmers, lawyers, and even veterans.
There's been escalation of tit-for-tat strikes between the US and the Houthi group in Yemen. The group says it targeted on Monday a US aircraft carrier with ballistic missiles and drones. This is in retaliation for American airstrikes on Yemen on Saturday, which left at least 53 people dead.
The US just dropped the largest ever bombs on Yemen. And on top of that, this comes just a week after the Houthis shot down an American drone. Now, something worth knowing, these were the first airstrikes on Yemen carried out under the new US President Trump. And a picture was released of him watching the mission on a TV. The US President Trump spoke on it and he didn't care. It was an understatement to say that he was mad. He said, quote, "Your time is up and your attacks must stop. If they don't, hell will rain down upon you like nothing you have ever seen before." And he even kept going. He said, quote, "We will use overwhelming lethal force until we have achieved our objective." Now, unlike the previous airstrikes carried out on Yemen under Joe Biden, these strikes are quite controversial because it doesn't seem like there's a fair reason as to why they were carried out. And that's because the Houthis actually haven't attacked any new ships in the Red Sea under the US President Trump, although they have threatened to. So because of that, a lot of people have said there was no reason to attack the Houthis because the Houthis hadn't done anything to be attacked. But I'll let you decide. Now, US Central Command released footage of the strikes and footage of the fighter jets taking off before they carried out the strikes. Now, something worth knowing, these airstrikes were far bigger than usual apparently. The report said, quote, "The explosions were very strong. They were like an earthquake."
In war-torn Yemen, a heartbreaking reality is unfolding. Children as young as 13 are taking the wheel of commercial vehicles, not out of choice, but out of necessity to support their families. The ongoing civil war and severe economic hardships have left many households without primary breadwinners. For some of these young drivers, the loss is personal. They have either lost their parents or seen them disabled during the fighting. The result? Families pushed into extreme poverty, with these young ones having no choice but to work to survive. Yemen has been in turmoil since 2014 when the Iran-backed Houthi group captured the capital Sana'a and much of the country. And with the ongoing conflict, stories like these are becoming all too common. Children forced to grow up quickly, stepping into whatever it takes to survive. US President Donald Trump's top diplomat has declared South Africa's ambassador to Washington persona non grata and kicked him out of the country. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio accused Ebrahim Rasool of being a race-baiting politician who hates Trump and America. Rasool has accused the Trump administration of fueling racial divisions.
In a post on X, Rubio accused Ebrahim Rasool of hating the U.S. and President Donald Trump and said the ambassador was no longer welcome in our great country. The Office for South Africa's president on Saturday called the decision regrettable, adding that the country remained committed to building a mutually beneficial relationship with the U.S. The rare move by the U.S. marks the latest development in rising tensions between the two countries. While lower-ranking diplomats are sometimes expelled, it's highly unusual in the U.S. for it to happen to a more senior official. In his post on Friday, Rubio linked to an article from the right-wing outlet Breitbart that quoted some of Rasool's recent remarks made during an online lecture about the Trump administration. At the event, Rasool said Trump was mobilizing a supremacism and trying to project white victimhood as a dog whistle.
Relations between Pretoria and Washington have deteriorated since Trump assumed office. He's cut aid to South Africa and slammed Pretoria's proposed land bill that will allow farmland to be seized without compensation. Despite the majority of the arable land held by the country's white minority, Trump says the process is unfair. And he's even offered Afrikaner farmers refugee status in America. South Africans are angry at Rasool's expulsion and want their government to fight back.
And as COSATU, we are saying we reject what the Trump government is currently doing by dealing with Africa for the wrong reasons. So we are saying we will welcome him back to say, come back home. And we're also calling on our government to do same, that they must also expel the ambassador from this country and also to close all relationship with the Trump regime if they want to treat us like that.
You thought the girl boss era was over, but now a new version is trending. Hashtag CorpCore is taking over social media with young workers romanticizing the 9-to-5 life. For many Gen Z professionals, this is their first time stepping into an office. After years of remote work, some are actually excited to be back. It's normal to glamorize a new job, especially at the beginning. Starting something new often brings excitement, nerves, and a sense of possibility. But the perks people post about, like rooftop views and stylish break rooms, don't always lead to long-term happiness.
Can we just talk about normalizing the 9-to-5 work grind? On social media, I'm always shown quit your job, take risks, travel the world, make a living traveling, and become financially free by 30, etc. What if I want to have a stable income, be in a normal relationship with friends who come over for dinner parties, be happy with my adventures as a weekend warrior, and romanticize starting a new hobby after work? I spend so much time scrolling that everywhere I look, the algorithm wants me to see how unhappy I should be, even when I'm grateful for what I have. A good job, great coworkers, a great partner, great friends. I always end up in a pit of comparison and a whirlwind of what-ifs. This life might feel and sound like I'm settling, but just for today, can we just talk about normalizing the 9-to-5 work grind?
What once felt fresh can start to feel like a chain linking workers to their jobs. Most people lose the office honeymoon phase within 6 to 12 months, but for Gen Z, it might last a little longer. For them, office life is still something new, something to romanticize and post online. But no matter how polished the office looks or their outfits, the daily grind still wears people down. Even the perfect work outfit won't change that. In China, a new trend is emerging where people are sharing before and after pictures of themselves after spending some time in the office and the impact work life is having on them. We all know jobs can kill our spirits sometimes, but now they're coming for our looks too. That's a good reminder that it's worth taking care of ourselves before we lose it all.
Blogger wrote, I graduated from college in 2023. This was me during training. These were taken after 1 month, 6 months, 12 months, and now 18 months. Netizens asked, isn't that just the difference between untouched and retouched photos? Someone replied, you cannot Photoshop the exhaustion in the eyes. A teller said, I always thought the pretty young ladies who came to the bank every year had resigned, but later I realized they had just blended in.
People posting with the captions, you've only seen my tired self after getting a job, but you don't know what I used to look like. This is what I looked like when I first got my job. This is me a year later. I gained 30 pounds. When I was in college, I was a basketball-playing heartthrob. I even did modeling gigs on the side. This is what I look like now after 6 months of working. Before work versus after work. My friends say I've lost the sparkle in my eyes. Getting a job means less and less hair, more and more pimples. Even teachers are joining in. One PE teacher wrote, I was once a tall student athlete too. This is what happens when you dedicate all your love and time to your students. Others responded, brother, we're all the same. After becoming a teacher, you've only seen my messy self. But I was also once like you guys. This is me before becoming the head teacher of a class. This is me 1 month in. In one viral video, a young worker transforms right before our eyes. Netizens comment, before changing into her night shift clothes, she looked 18. After, she looked 40. Even her walk changed.
People around the world have been celebrating St. Patrick's Day. The day honors Ireland's patron saint and has become a global celebration of Irish culture. Parades, parties, and plenty of green take over cities across the world. And in some places, they literally paint the town green. In Chicago, thousands gathered downtown to watch the city's river turn a vibrant shade of green. Since 1962, the local plumbers union has been dyeing the water in honor of the holiday. Each year, they pour about 18 kilograms of vegetable-based dye into the river. The union says the dye is non-toxic and safe for wildlife. And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.